If there is one thing that I think everyone can agree on as the most fun part of making a book on your own, it's gotta be the cover. Hi guys, and thanks for joining me today. Well, as they say, it's just running downhill from here. We are done with the book. All the illustrations and text are as they should be and wrapped up in a nice PDF. Now it's time for the cover and, almost as importantly, the back cover. At this point, you actually have the size that you want your book printed in, and the height measurements will be the same. The width is what is going to be a little bit of a guessing game and will almost always need adjusting. I know a lot of people who commission artists to do the front and back cover give the wrong measurements because they don't take one thing into account, and that is the spine. In particular, the thickness of the spine. Depending on how many pages your book has, it's going to dictate how thick that spine will need to be, and that number is, of course, going to fluctuate just by sheer millimeters, but it will throw things off if you do not have the correct size. KDP provides templates for book covers, and as good as they are, they're just not perfect. Inevitably, you're going to have to do a little bit of adjusting to the size of the cover, and if you are doing this on your own, keep everything on a separate layer, or if you have someone helping you, make sure that you do have an understanding with them that there is going to be a lot of changes and a lot of drafts before you come to that final export of the cover. Now let's get into the breakdown of my cover. When I was trying to come up with the idea for the cover, I kicked around a lot of designs, and early on, I really wanted to pay tribute to the posters that were created for films before the films even got made. Believe it or not, art sometimes was created in order to raise money to make the actual movie. That's why there are certain posters where the characters just don't look the same as they do in the actual movie. One of the best examples is Mad Max. If you look at that poster, you quickly realize it's clearly not Mel Gibson being painted. Another influence were the book covers done by Frank Frazetta, as well as his contemporary at the time, Boris Vallejo. They often feature someone holding up a sword in a dominant manner, and they're flanked by the main character's confidants and companions. It's been spoofed, but I still love the look of that. Also, the title of the book is meant to sound like a Saturday morning cartoon. If you throw all that into a blender, you get this. Like with everything else, it all starts with a sketch. I knew I didn't really want line art for the cover, and as I had mentioned before, a more painterly approach was what I was looking for. So I hopped back into Photoshop and went to work with some of the custom brushes I had acquired over the years. I kept everything on a separate layer so that I could make adjustments later on. This is probably the most important thing you can do, and it will save you a lot of grief. One thing you have to keep in mind is to label each of the layers so that you don't end up wasting a lot of time searching for the right one. One layer you will definitely need access to is the layer with the template of the cover that KDP supplies you. When the cover was done, I exported it and thought it was perfect, but it got rejected. I needed to have more width to account for the pages of the manuscript. Luckily, I had everything on layers and was able to slide things around a bit just to add that little extra width to the image. And in a pretty short amount of time, I had everything fixed. The cover was good to go, and I sent off for a proof copy. It's gonna be pretty crazy to see it in print. And in the next video, the final reveal. Thank you so much for joining me, and as always, be like water, my friend.